Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to GIMI Think Tank. Our speaker, who was assigned for today's slot, was taken sick, and we are replacing that speech with a presentation of work that we've been doing at the GIMI Think Tank and in GIMI itself. Our presentation today is about AI and how AI is disrupting everything we're doing in innovation. And so we are now beginning to think about how to introduce AI tools into this methodology and everything else. So we want to share with you an experiment that we've been running over the last 8 weeks around AI and innovation. I'm going to start my presentation, and it's about the fact that right now everything is changing, and how do we start introducing AI into innovation methodologies and approaches. GIMI wants to continue pushing on the forefront of innovation methodologies that will help you go faster and quicker to be able to do bigger and bolder things. Okay. So AI. Let's talk about AI first, just at a simple level. It's no ordinary disruption. This is different than anything that we've seen before. It's not like robotics where we take human labor and we replace human labor with machines that do the work. This is finally in the brain, what the brain does and how the brain thinks. And we are now using machines to be able to think like humans. And we're using all the data that has been collected on the internet, on databases everywhere, and pulling it together to be able to produce outputs. We're using AI to then construct videos. We're using AI to create PowerPoints and visual outputs. AI is changing what humans used to do. When we look at it, we see that there are already companies, hundreds of companies which have emerged, hundreds of companies. And these companies are doing things in their own different way, right? Some of them are helping us with intelligence. If you want to know something, if you want to know anything, just go to Bing, go to Bard, go to ChatGPT and ask a question. Who are my competitors? Ask them, in the competitors, say, no, I want competitors of a certain size. You can then say, in there, I would like to know what the products are, what the services are. And you can get intelligence about competitors, intelligence about what you want to do, intelligence about trends. ChatGPT, Bard, and many others actually help you do those kind of things. On the other side, you've got another type of AI happening, which basically says, I can take your words, I can take whatever you're saying, and I can grab pictures and I can grab sentences and put them in a beautiful PowerPoint or a brochure. And we can create brochures just like that, PowerPoints just like that. And there was a time that you would sit there and work all night to create a PowerPoint presentation. Even the presentation you're seeing right now, it was done manually, some parts of it. But you will see today, some parts were done in a matter of minutes. That's what AI can do. What used to take hours to do, beautiful presentations in a very short time. Similarly, as I'm talking right now, I can take my narrative, my speech, and I can take the whole speech and put it into this thing called synthesizers. And they'll generate a video, an avatar, and a person will speak, and you will not be able to tell whether it's a real person or a fake person. And you can make videos in less than 5 to 10 minutes now. Videos which look so professional that it's like, wow, it may still feel to you a little robotic, but we're getting to a different place. Benchmarking. We can do benchmarking of your products and services. We can say, here are my products. I would like to see what other products are out there. Tell me the figure of merits. And ultimately, we can also validate our things on the market and test it through AI. Not actually go out there and test and say, what do you think, customers? But we can test it through AI. Amazing changes are coming. And these changes are very different than any that we have ever seen before. And the way we think and the way we act has to change along with that. And the question for you guys, all of you out there, are you going to be able to think differently? And are you going to be able to act differently? And yet still use the same methodologies for how to come up with new ideas and how to make those ideas real. Okay, so that's the purpose of my presentation today, that we have now tools that can augment your brain and to be able to do a lot more, a lot faster. We're still looking for bigger and bolder ideas, but I believe now we can do it faster and cheaper than ever before. So let's just quickly look at some of this tools that are out there. Some of you have already seen the ChatGPT tool and used it. I hope by now everybody has. but there's also Bard and there's character.ai and Jasper and many others. And what they do is they take a whole bunch of information from the internet, and then you ask the question, and it basically says, this information is relevant to your question. This question is relevant to it, and it suggests answers. And the way you actually prompt and ask questions generates answers that can be slightly different. And that's where the future is going to be. How do you ask questions? How do you ask questions smartly to be able to get the answers that are different and better than other people's? This is now a very mature technology, in my opinion, and it's accelerating at a pace that we have not seen before. Similarly, I talked about this thing called Beautify. This is how you make presentations if you wanted to. And you take your data, you provide some sort of color, logo, schemes. You say, this is other examples of my other work that I've done. This is my brand identity. And then bam, it produces your output of whatever story that you want to tell. That story could have been pulled from ChatGPT. It could be pulled from Bard. And from Bard, you throw it into this thing and out comes a presentation. Lots of competitors, or let's just say there's a lot of people working on it, and they're all trying to help you do better presentations. And then this one is the one which I really enjoyed, and our team worked on, where they would take a narrative, they would interview a CEO, ask questions, and then they ask the CEO questions and everything else. They would say, okay, tell me now, what did the CEO really say? What was the situation? What was the complication? What was the key question? What was the CEO really saying? So we can take a whole interview of asking lots of questions, look at the answers, and then ask ChatGPT to kind of organize it into a powerful speech, and then use a synthesizer, a video synthesizer, to make a speech out of it. I'm going to show you examples of that also. Okay. Let me move forward. The experiment we ran was on this thing that we have at GIMI called the Innovation Olympics. The Innovation Olympics basically says we will help a company with a challenge of where the next growth is going to come from. And we provide them 5 teams from different universities around the world. And those 5 teams are trained on GIMI methodology. And then they basically apply the methodology in a disciplined approach to create outputs about where that company needs to grow next. The client gets 5 outputs. So that's normally how we do this program. And we said we have a standard methodology the old way. And I want to use the word the old way, the old methodology. The methodology stays the same, but the old way of doing research. And we said this time, instead of doing it the old way, we're going to add in there another team. So 5 teams from 5 different universities from around the world. And another team was added called Team AI. Team AI was going to compete with the 5 business school teams to provide a client the next growth strategy. And we said, can Team AI do it better, faster, and cheaper than normal processes which used to take 8 weeks to do? The process, standard process of saying, hey, talk to the CEO, get the innovation intent, understand and do research so you can see all the opportunities in the world, look around for new opportunities specifically to go after, the fields of play, and then the business ideas for this company, what they should do next. And the students would normally do this. The 5 teams would do it normally over 8 weeks. And we had our Team AI also working on this in parallel. And they were given 2 days, not 8 weeks, 2 days to do this and get outputs. So just visually, so you can see the experiment being run. Here you have the 5-step processes. And we said, which tool shall we use to be able to get outputs? We use ChatGPT, we use Beautiful.ai, we use Synthesia, and then in the back end, the benchmarking tools were used to see if we can validate the concepts or not. Let's talk about some of the outputs that were generated. So on the first one, on innovation intent, what we normally do is we talk to the CEO and ask them questions. So that's the process. We interview the CEO. We ask questions to the CEO. That CEO notes are taken and put them all together, and we can read them and synthesize and try and understand them. It takes a lot of effort. So we just took the notes and just dumped them into ChatGPT and says, make intelligence out of this thing. Organize it in some structured way. And then we said, that's great. Create a speech from the CEO, which is succinct, to the point, and short. So let's be clear again. What did we do? We interviewed the CEO. We took those notes, and then we put in the ChatGPT and say, organize this thing somehow into what the CEO said. And then we said, take the same information and generate a speech out of it. But a speech we want to generate, put it in the form of as if he's the president of the United States, as John F. Kennedy. Use John F. Kennedy's style to make the speech. And then we generated a video of those things. The CEO in this case was me. They asked me questions. The company that they were trying to help growth with was Global Innovation Management Institute. I want to show you the video that the AI team came up with in less than a couple of hours.
Dear GM Institute team, we choose to increase the number of certificates to 1 million in 4 years and expand our presence worldwide, not because it is easy, but because it is hard. The challenge we face is significant, but the potential benefits are enormous. We must act with urgency and determination to meet this challenge. As we move forward, we must be guided by our values of preeminence, innovation, democratization, volunteerism, integrity, and collaboration. We must work together as a team to find new opportunities, invest in short-term and incremental projects, and leverage our global network to reach our goals. Together, we can make innovation a professional business discipline that can be taught in academic institutions, professional organizations, and corporate and government academies. We can democratize innovation worldwide by certifying 1 million individuals and companies. Let us rise to this challenge and make it a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Emilio. So think about this right now. Right? What did we accomplish? We were able to take a speech. It was just an interview of random statements on a question that we put together. We used ChatGPT to take all the things that were said and organize it. And then we asked ChatGPT to create a speech, which became a narrative. We took that narrative and punched it into this thing called Video Maker by Synthesia. And this video, this person who spoke looks better than me, probably is a better presenter than I am. And in less than 10 minutes, there's a video that I can share with everybody. Now, everybody in the company can know what the challenge is and what they're trying to solve. And if I see it as a client, I would say that's exactly what it is. In 2 minutes, you summarize what took 1 hour of an interview. Thank you. And you feel relieved in doing that kind of stuff. I'm going to keep on going to additional things that we have done. I'm going to share again. Okay, so that was the first part of the project. Then we said, let's look at the next stage of this thing and what do we have to do for the methodology. And here we're supposed to get smart, go get more dots, get intelligent about the industry, go do research. And so we asked ChatGPT, saying, here's our methodology. We look at trends. Trends is an important part about what we need to do, know how to do next. And he says, can you find us trends about the future that GIMI will be participating in, and what are the things that we should pay attention to? And so now ChatGPT does its stuff. It goes into the internet, looks for all kinds of information, looks for articles and reports, and it pulls together all the intelligence that we needed in terms of the trends. And we said, look at those trends again, clean it up, do it one more time. Now imagine a team of 5 people doing this also. They're probably going to take 2-3 days to do this thing. This takes less than half an hour to 1 hour to grab the trends that were out. We had to make sure they look good. We have to always look at examine the output. And then we said, that's great. Can we now generate a PowerPoint presentation of the trends so that's easy for others to understand what it looks like? Because people don't want to look at this text-based stuff. It's too messy, the thing in the middle. Nobody wants to read this. Can we make it pretty and make it accessible to everybody in terms of PowerPoint slides? Let's look at those PowerPoint slides. Okay. This is what it produced. Basically says, hey, look at the market trends using AI for what we want to do. And it basically says, look, here's the picture you might want to use. There's increased emphasis on innovation in the world in the future. And here's what the opportunity will be. There's a shift towards digital transformation. And COVID-19 drove it. And GIMI Institute can do something about it. There's increased investment in R&D happening everywhere. And GIMI can provide more R&D tools to support that. There's a focus on sustainability. And GIMI should be considering leveraging, maybe creating products and tools and training around innovation, growth-related stuff around sustainability. There's the importance of open innovation. Everybody should be doing open innovation. Open innovation is going to be very big. And again, GIMI may play a role on that. And then, of course, the use of AI. It came up with its own suggestion that you should use us. Kind of crazy. And then this thing is about importance of inclusion, diversity. So again, the trends in a visual format, very fast to create, and out of it comes a whole bunch of suggestions that we can work on, right? Very cool. And that's the creation of PowerPoint outputs, not a video now, but PowerPoint outputs for people to understand. And then we also created a video based on that saying, in the future world, what does the future world look like? And then this person, they put as a speech for us. And now I want you to see this for a few seconds and we'll stop halfway. Emilio, are you ready to share this video?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to start presenting and let's look at the video that's created from the trends and a voice and some things behind them. And again, I want to say how fast it can be created. We change the avatar of the person because maybe we don't want an older looking guy. We want a younger person because this is about the future. Go ahead.
Innovators. In the year 2030, innovation has become even more crucial for business success than it is today. As organizations seek to differentiate themselves from their competitors, demand for innovation management services has continued to grow, and GIM Institute has emerged as a leading provider of these services. The shift towards digital transformation has continued, and GIM Institute has responded by expanding its services to include digital innovation and transformation consulting. We help organizations effectively leverage digital technologies to achieve their innovation goals. Sustainability has become an increasingly important focus for organizations, and GIM Institute has responded by developing a suite of sustainable innovation services, including sustainable product development, green supply chain management, and circular economy consulting. Open innovation has continued to gain popularity, and GIM Institute has become a key facilitator of these collaborations, leveraging our extensive network and expertise to help organizations manage their open innovation efforts. Artificial intelligence has played an increasingly important role in driving innovation, and GIM Institute has responded by developing a range of AI-driven innovation services, including
let's stop there.
ideation.
Thank you, Emilio. So now what have we done? We were able to take research about trends of the future and very quickly communicate those trends first through PowerPoint, and then also ask ChatGPT to create a story that is write a story in 2030. In 2030, what will GIMI Institute be doing? What could be the future products and services? And it created a narrative again of that very quickly. Of course, you got to look at it and massage it. And then we punch it back into this thing called video generators. And now we can also say what videos and images you want to put behind and how do you connect all these things together to create a video. Takes a little bit longer, but not that long. And this video was made available. And I'm just like, that's really cool. I hope you guys are feeling the same way right now. Now, you may not agree that the voice of the person is very, it doesn't sound like a human. It's kind of teeny and a little like a robotic, but that's going to fix. It's going to fix in the next couple of days, next couple of weeks, or next couple of months. But it's just a matter of time. Technology is coming, right? We then, and I'm going to share again some more things that we did. I'm going to share the screen again. Next part of this thing was, of course, asking it, how do you think about this fields of play that we've created? You've got very smart. You did the research about competitors. You did the research about adjacencies. You've done the research about the future and the trends. You got all this information. What I would like you to now do is, based on this information, what are the big opportunity areas for you to focus on? Now we're trying to make it think and act like a management consultant. So we've given you all this secondary research. That's on the left-hand side. We put it into ChatGPT, and now ChatGPT takes that information along with the information which is all over the internet, and says, I understand you've narrowed the scope of what I want, what you want to do. And we ask it now, extract the intelligence. Tell me something smart. What are 5 big areas GIMI should focus on? And now it starts generating the idea, a paragraph on each one of them, and a description of each one, and then you can generate an AI speech from it. And so it came up, a general view of how we look at things. We might want to focus on healthcare. We might want to focus on sustainability. We might want to focus on digital innovation transformation, social innovation management, or diversity inclusion. And it says these are new areas we might want to focus into for growth. We took that information along with the paragraphs and then created a video out of that. Another video. Now, why are we using videos as a means to communicate? Because you can send a video clip very quickly to other people. And people can understand very faster sometimes by listening to that. Some people like to receive information in terms of videos, some in terms of PowerPoint. It's just a matter of how they consume it. Our job as consultants is to get the information out simply and easily so that it's accessible. I can show this video by I'm just watching over time. And I just want to show you the next thing that we did was business concepts. We said, here's the business concepts that come out of it. Give me some ideas, specific ideas that we should work on. And these specific ideas are now formatted for us in a certain way to look at it. Say, let's take the inputs from here. Let's look at the generated concepts and do the speech or a presentation from it. So here it comes out, boring output. That's what it comes out looking like, really boring. It says, here's the 5 ideas you might want to work on: micro learning apps, learning management systems, a virtual reality platform. It describes it. If you don't want to read this, then you might want to see it in a better format, which looks something like this. And if you think that's boring, well, let's ask AI to make it look a little better. And along comes AI and says, this is what it should look like. And AI makes it prettier, put better colors on it, better pictures, and it was all about AI-powered personalized learning. In the future, there will no longer be a professor or a management consultant like me guiding you through what you have to do. That person is gone. It's AI HP. It's AI Enrique. It's AI Emilio. We're done. And this is the future of learning. And it says in the future, there's a market for this thing. This is how we'll produce it. Here's how we'll deliver it. And here's what the offering is. This slide looks much more attractive than this boring slide. Or this slide. Right? So it takes all this very complicated views and simplifies it into something that says, I get it. I understand what you're talking about. And it also generates risks. It also generates business models. And now you get a lot more compliance from other people to get going. So I'm going to first talk about what we did, high level. We always interviewed somebody. We took that information and we organized it using ChatGPT or something else. We had to teach the AI on how to do what it had to do. And then out of it came outputs and interesting things. A couple of things were missing in there. And we had to iterate all the time to make sure it made sense. We always asked, what's the aha? And we really realized that what's on the internet is not complete. We had to input, in addition to the interview, what's in the internet, primary interviews. And then we had to work in teams really to come up with some interesting outputs. The outputs had to be reviewed. The outputs had to be asked, are they really wows? Are they interesting or not? Are they insightful? So primary interviews created different outputs. And then collaborating as teams was necessary to make sure there was something really, really great coming out of it. We got some key takeaways, but I want to do a key takeaway of a different type today. So I'm going to stop presenting. And first of all, just ask you guys, what do you guys think? If you have any comments, thoughts about this thing, are you surprised? Are you how it all ended up?
I want to say something, HP. My internet is slow today, so my apologies. But I love it. I love it. You know, I believe that there is a new way how to do things. Faster. That can create more competitiveness, more productivity. Even we as a company working with NetStairs, as you know, we're looking at the next generation of the way how we can work together, where all the tools are going to be embedded in rooms like this. So we are not working just individually, but in a collaborative way. We're cooperating in real time and face to face. So the future is coming soon, where all type of tools, features, third-party software are going to be available for us, not individually, but as a group, and think that we should, done in, like you mentioned, like several weeks. Perhaps we can finish it in just one day because of this cooperation, co-creation in real time and face-to-face, plus all these AI tools and all type of productive tools that are going to give us, the advantage. So it's tremendous. For me, I love it. It was very creative the way how you have done it, and it's great. It's great.
Yeah. So one thing that I want to share with you: we had 5 teams from business schools doing this over 8 weeks, and we had Gabriela, one person from the IXL team, spending time on .ai to do what she had to do. And when we did the ranking of the quality of the output, Gabriela came second. 5 teams of 5 people each. And Gabriela, with her friend ChatGPT and all his AI tools, was able to beat out at least 4 teams from business school. And our power of thinking now begins to be challenged. Saying, can one person with ChatGPT and other tools be fast and quicker versus a team of 5 people? Or really 5 people with ChatGPT be better to do what we have to do also? So those questions are going to come up. We have a question come up with the band, but what I want to do right now is add all the other people. This is the ChatGPT team, the GIMI.ai team. Please come on board. I want you to meet them because they are now world's experts, because everybody is becoming an expert in this topic faster than any human in the world. It doesn't take that long to figure it out. And Ben, you have a question, and we'll kind of ask this guy so you want the answer. The people here, I'm getting echoes. Is Emilio? Emilio is calling in from Ecuador. We got Gabriela, she's calling in from Brazil, and Victor, who's also in Brazil. And basically, global team working with .ai, and these guys are the ones who make the difference. So we'll see if some question will go to them. But Ben, ask your question or your thoughts.
Yeah, I just want to congratulate you guys. This is really, really good. I just put a comment in the chat as well for anybody who missed this webinar. At South by Southwest, somebody was mentioning that these tools, those people who know how to use these tools are the equivalent of being born rich. So if you learn how to use these tools, it's the equivalent of being born rich. And I think it's very true for us as our businesses. If we adopt these tools, we will have the equivalent of being born rich and with the privilege. And I want to congratulate you guys for not just talking about it, but actually doing it and getting into the weeds and connecting the dots. At the end of the day, the GIMI network will learn a lot and be able to use this if they connect. The one sort of other comment that I want to finish with is that as brilliant as this is and amazing as this is, the generative AI will generally produce the average sort of the result that you'll get is an average result. It's an average of thinking, an average of design, an average of of everything, right? Because it's finding the average among all the information out there. So it's really good output that came in second in the competition. But if we want to and we'll leverage it and it'll help us, etc. But let's not forget that if we want to be the best, we can't just grab what AI gives us. We have to improve upon what AI gives us, because what AI gives us is basically what the world average, not the world's best. Thanks.
So great. Thank you, Ben. I think the team's going to talk about that now and say, what does it take it to be IXL, GIMI, world-class McKinsey level differentiation, right? So how do we get it to that level versus just being average? So well, as you guys answer, make sure you mention who you are. I also want to, if you don't want to, you don't have to, but mention how young you are, and how likely that your peer group is going to be using this kind of stuff. And the reason for this team is I want the rest of you to know that if you aren't embracing this generation is going to embrace it, and it's moving on. So first question to you guys, prior to this, did you guys use AI before this experiment?
HP, just a second. Before I answer that, I would just like to touch on something that Ben said. So first of all, I'm Gabby. Nice to meet you. For those of you who have never seen me. As HP said, I'm in Brazil. I'm 23. I was going to say I'm new, but it's getting to the point where I'm not really that new at IXL. But I'm the newest of the two other peers of mine over here. But well, so Ben said about it being an average result, and I completely agree with you. And I actually think that there's also a matter of the person that is handling the AI and handling the outputs, not necessarily the inputs, but the outputs of what AI is giving us. So for the Innovation Olympics, clearly the team that came in first put on the time, did the research, and they thought outside of the box. And it was clear that their results were completely created by themselves and with not help of the AI. But mine were from the AI, and I tried my best to not tweak the results, to tweak what the AI did, because I wanted it to be an output that was mainly from the AI, so that we could have a benchmark of what the AI can do compared to the other students and other people. But I think that since I was the one doing it, and I know the GIMI methodology and I know the GIMI framework, there was maybe a bit of user adjustments that I did unconsciously. But now that I think about it, the way I present it, the way I talked about it, is clearly from someone that knew more of the methodology than the few master classes that the students had. So maybe if it weren't me doing it, it wouldn't have placed second, because I know the way that HP likes to hear it. So that's something to keep in mind. I do believe that the other results, the students did very well, but I think there was that to think about, that it was someone that knew the process and knew what they were expecting. Sorry, HP, I completely lost your question. Can you ask again?
So I'm going to take you guys back. We have an agenda of questions that I want to go through, and so that it will help the audience move their own thinking process also. So we're going to be brief. We've got 3 people here, young. They actually jumped in. They had no idea what this was. So first question I asked was just in general, did you guys use AI before these things?
No.
So in my case, hello everyone, my name is Victor, I'm 24 years old, and I hadn't any experience with AI. I did some programming, but everything related to artificial intelligence was new for me.
And Emilio?
Hi everyone, I'm Emilio Oaks. I am 23 as well. I am in Ecuador currently. And I must say that I'm new to this. I got into the boat just a few months ago when this got in the trend. So, as well.
And was there resistance to getting started? Your own personal psychological resistance to these things?
For me, not really. I was quite excited. I thought it was nice. I wanted to try it out. I tried it out a little bit before, but I can see some resistance in the future, let's say, with other people that are used to doing the things the same way for years and years, and then you bring a big change, a big disruption. There might be a resistance for, I don't know, an older population.
Gabby, you were nodding.
I think it's helpful, but I don't know, maybe it's all the sci-fi movies, but I think that there's a point where we need to say it, there's enough and there's a limit to why we should go on doing it. The ChatGPT has limitations on what you can ask it depending.
My question was, did you have resistance at the beginning of this process?
Yes, I did. And I think the fact that it coded resistance to certain questions that you can ask shows that even the people who did it and created it also have resistance to the power it can achieve in the future.
So there is some natural resistance to learning new things on one side. There's a resistance to believing that this thing cannot do what your brain can do. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why people will say it's not really that good until you try it. But once you try it, what was your experience when you tried it, Emilio?
Well, I must say that I was very impressed. This is something that it really helps you on your daily tasks. It becomes like a digital assistant. It actually brings up to new a new baseline of thinking that you can actually use in order to come up with better outcomes. So for me, I think that we are on the very top of the edge of this, and it's very exciting.
And what is different, all of you guys did this, what is different between Google search and something like called ChatGPT or Bard?
In my experience, I believe that Google search, you need to go through a lot of data. So for example, you want to discover what is the total revenue of the banking industry of 2022. We need to go through a lot of articles, while in ChatGPT, we can ask with a reference, and then they can give the information in 2 seconds.
And I must add that talking to a robot, like if you're talking to a normal person, that actually gives you a great like advancement there, because you can actually misspell something or put the wrong word, but it's gonna be it's gonna understand you instead of Google, that probably it will give you different answers.
So from our philosophy of GIMI, this is what Google is versus ChatGPT. There's data in the world, there's lots of data, and Google can find that data. So it finds the information. What ChatGPT does is takes all that information and organizes it one more time and creates intelligence. So it moves from data, information to information, information to intelligence. So now the question to you guys is, did you find that what it produced was intelligent? Yes. But did it give you an insight? Did it give you an insight where it was like a wow, a aha, something that says, let's do something different? So you got moved from ChatGPT gave you intelligence. Now the question is, did it give you insights?
So HP, my personal experience, I tried to do with ChatGPT and find 6 key trends. And the first 6 key trends that they gave us were very generic. Let's say sustainability, ESG, technological innovation. And then what I did is actually I had a conversation with it. I asked again about the technological innovation. You mentioned safety. What exactly about safety in the mining? And they gave me another answer. And then I asked, okay, which other technologies we could explore? And then they start giving me insights. We need to dig in a little bit, but they gave me very interesting information once we had this conversation.
But I think that the key here is to actually narrow your questions where you want to go, and probably you're going to get an insightful answer, but that's not really something insightful, because the limitation is that it's just putting together everything that the platform knows to give you that answer that you want to know, and then you can get your insights.
So one of the things, go ahead, Gabby.
No, I was gonna say, I kind of agree with Emilio. I think that because we all did different industries, and for example, Victor's and Emilio's industries was very technical. It was very science related, and you had to know the jargon, stuff like that. Whilst for GIMI, it's not that technical. It's more about the insights. It's more about thinking outside of the box. So what I found is it was not necessarily an insight. It was just that it got to the point where it was something I did not know, but it was out there.
Yeah.
So I think I know more about GIMI than, for example, Victor and Emilio could possibly know without having a master's or something in their industry can know about. So that's why maybe they found more insights than I did.
So that's a great point. So how do you know what was produced was really intelligent, new to the world, different, and it requires you to be the judge of that. And if your own knowledge is kind of superficial, then it might be more intelligent or even insightful. But if your knowledge is also high, you can very quickly say, I know that already, I know that already, I know that already. And much of the stuff that came out of the work that Gabriela did, we were quite informed about. And it didn't feel that there was a lot of insight in there. It was like, we already know that. So if you were to go to a company and say, here's what I found and present it to the CEO would probably say, that's good, but it's not really good. So what we told the team to do is if you wanted to really get more intelligence than what exists on the internet, you might want to do primary interviews. Talk to people and get other data of people who are on the cutting edge. People are really talking to customers right now. Suppliers are thinking about these things, and then put that back into the mix with saying, hey, ChatGPT, find on the internet along with this additional inputs I got from my interviews. And now tell me what it is. And now it's got an engine which is generative and can come up with something interesting. So the point I want to make sure is this. You need to ask yourself, did you get data? Did you get information? Did you get intelligence? Or did you get insights? And our job as GIMI is always to produce insights. Insights means something new to the world, something that says, wow, I didn't know that. Something that says, that's really cool. I'm going to tell everybody else about it. It's got to feel exciting, compelling, and all that. And what we found was ChatGPT at the industry level, for people who are in the industry, the output was really good, B-. B- to B at best. It's only when you intersect that with additional inputs from the outside of industry experts that did we get something more interesting. I want to switch this conversation now. As you're coming up with this interesting outputs, we were emphasizing the need to make it accessible to the market. We said, put it in a template that others can understand. Put it in terms of a PowerPoint slide, which is visual, or a video synthesizer. Tell me your experience about those AI tools, where somehow they take boring intelligence and information and somehow converts it into something really cool. So I know, Emilio, you work on doing the speeches. Tell me your first experience when you saw it doing it, and then how willing were you to do it and change things so that you could experiment and iterate to improve it. The first time, what was your reaction? And then afterwards, your willingness, when I said, I don't like those words, change that sentence, change that paragraph. And how would you have reacted 3 months ago to making a video? To how you make videos today. So I'm going to open this up, and then Victor and Gabby, please add to it also.
Of course, I would say that at first I was impressed because we, as you say, we got the boring content and then we introduced it to a narrative that we wanted to put as a speech, in this case, for then going to Synthesia, which is a video synthesizer. And then, but something was missing, like that human sense, even though like we had that JFK speech. We knew that there was something that we could include to be more compelling to the audience. So then we put it there into the video synthesizer, and then we tweak it a little bit so it could be more it could be better. But there was also something there with the avatars that we had in the platform that at first we saw that we were impressed that how they connected, how they said the right words when they were doing the speech and they were moving a little bit, but then it was very monotonous. So that's where we changed a little bit on how we can probably not put the whole avatar, just the face or just part of the body, and then put more slides over there in the background. And those are the kinds of things that we are learning right now on how can we improve that process.
Yeah. So there was phase 0. When you do it, you're going to say, this is cool, and I'm done. But if you then say, how do I make it better? Because AI is still improving and it's not completely ready there. You can now change the avatar of the person and say, let's put a female, let's put a male, let's put a young person, older person, let's put an Asian, let's put a Latin, whatever. We can do those changes just like that. Now, in the past, if you made a video and you had to change the actor, it would be another photo shoot. It would be a pain, and there would be 4 or 5 takes on it. So when I asked you to do a second take and a third take and a fourth take, how much resistance did you feel to those changes I was making compared to if I'd been asking you to do a real video shoot?
No, to be honest, it was great. We could, because in just in seconds we could change completely the whole setting of everything, the person, and any asset that we also included there. So it was very well cost effective, we could say, from that side.
Anything else that you saw, Gabby and Victor, in terms of the videos that were coming out or the PowerPoints?
Yeah, the first thing you mentioned was how impactful it is. I think having a tangible output with something that you didn't expect before, it's naturally more impactful. So having this video, it's already more impactful for me as a user, especially how easy it was. Another feature that's very interesting that you can add is also the way they speak. So you can change sort of the narrative to make them with a version of English that's more insightful, or a version of Korean that's more thoughtful. And you can change also the languages. And another thing that was helpful for me is there's this function that is called diction. So there's a foreign word they want to be said in a specific way. You can go there and edit and say how you want it to be sound. And this would save, let's say, another take. If someone said the name of the company wrong, you need to do another take from the beginning.
Victor, are you saying Emilio didn't fix that yet? The GIM Institute?
But you can.
Yes. So great point, guys. So in innovation, you have to make sure you got data, information, intelligence, then insights. Insights about the trends, insights about where to innovate next, insights about the concepts to start. So insights is where we're trying to get to. And we need to put a lot of information together, combine it, disconnect, reconnect it to be able to get to that part. Now, if you have an insight, that doesn't mean that the insight is shared with everybody. So there's another part of innovation that we talk about at GIMI Institute, which is how to be a storyteller, how to present, how to make it accessible to other people. You already got it in your head, but how do you make it accessible to other people? And this is the tools that are now coming out, called visual tools, communication tools that are critical for success. Any last words for you guys in terms of the Innovation Olympics, or how you guys are planning to use this for the Innovation Olympics and to make the teams better? What's your ideas on how we can help future Innovation Olympics programs go faster, quicker, or even be more impactful?
I think the big idea here is for us to leverage these outputs to get the teams to learn first about the methodology and have a tangible example, and also get information about the company. And then what they need to do is get their own dots and add it to the concepts, get interviews, add to the concept, and then generate new ideas based on that. As Ben mentioned, this is a B. If it's a grade, it's a B minus, let's say. We need to get additional interviews out there. We need to get other dots from people who experienced a real life job, and then include this to create a wow for the client. And I think that's what we're trying to do in the future.
Gabriela, how do you avoid cheating? How do you avoid people from just saying this is good enough and they will change some words here and there? How would you encourage people not just to use the ChatGPT, but to also get primary and work and iterate and experiment and redo and do that one more time to get something meaningful?
That's a good point. Just a side note. I don't know if Victor and Emilio have experienced that, but I can figure out when some of the students have used ChatGPT because, well, they're lazy because they're using it, and they're even so lazy that they don't change the output. They just use it as it comes. And ChatGPT, all of the outputs come out in a certain way. So since we're talking about GIMI, everything that I ask it about GIMI, it starts with Jimmy is going to do this. Jimmy likes to do that. Jimmy's values are. And it's always that structure. So grammatically, it always outputs the same structure. At least when I was doing the IO for the purpose of what I was asking it. So I was able to catch some of the outputs that the students presented because it was the same as ChatGPT. But so the way to avoid that, it's kind of tricky, right? Because even universities need to find ways to avoid it nowadays. But would be to go through the whole innovation process before the students do, and use the simple, like the sample Jimmy ChatGPT IO output as an example for what they are going to produce, of course, in a more detailed way, using primary research methods and stuff like that. But it's kind of like a benchmark of you need to do better than this because you're going to have access to information that is not online. So that's one of the ways you could do it.
Great.
And I just want to also mention for professors like UHB and Dr. Bob, there's new systems that you can go there, put the text, and they will say and verify if this was produced by an AI or not. So we're going to be able to check. And also, I think that the competition will help people push and not just use AI.
So I'm not worried about people using ChatGPT or AI systems. I'm worried about everybody producing outputs that's about the same level. And what we need to do is how do we lift people up to the next level so that we call that a F even or a D, no longer a B minus. So we call that a D, and now we can start grading between the next level because we need to help people do the work. You still have to work to create intelligence and insights, right? So that's going to be important. I'm going to give Emilio the last words about how you might want to integrate the visualization tools into the Innovation Olympics so that it could become a requirement in the Olympics. What do you think about where would you insert it?
Well, basically on our program, we tend to do a lot of presentations. I think that probably it could be a good way on how to summarize all the presentation that the students are going to be doing with their clients, and also creating videos without the need of being there. So they can send the clients some of their stuff that they already created on the outputs and put it over there. As a from our administrative part, when we create the program, we have our own software, we have our own platform, and that's where we can actually create all of the courses, tutorials, and everything, and embedded them in our platforms. And that will help us a lot because we don't necessarily need HP in this case for the one part of the course, but we can create an avatar of HP, and then we can have
Wow, we're done. We're done. We don't have a job anymore. We are done. Okay, very good. So, Emilio, we get that. We can use it as avatars for training. We can use it on the presentations and all this kind of stuff. So expect a version 2.0 coming out on the Innovation Olympics on the methodology and how to provide the presentations and outputs. Expect that before the Olympics starts, that we will run a sprint on AI to create the output automatically, and then give it to every student team saying this is the benchmark, and now you've got to go above that. And we are going to emphasize, I want to make sure, Jimmy is going to emphasize the importance of primary interviews and primary research, because those dots do not exist on the internet. And when those dots don't exist on the internet, now we can mix it up to have better dots and different dots than what everybody else would get. Number one. The second thing we're going to continue emphasizing is to connect and disconnect and reconnect and disconnect until you come up with something which is a wow. So we still need to get more dots, primary interviews. And we are going to make sure our students learn, our teams learn to connect, disconnect, reconnect, and try one more time until you get a wow. And it's a wow criteria that we have to get to make sure these guys are going to be exceptional. You guys, Team AI, you guys were fantastic. Thank you guys. Great work, great outputs, and you are our experts today. Well done. I'm going to wrap this thing up. So just a couple of thoughts as we wrap this up. So I'm going to let you guys go right now, and we'll take you off the screen. Lara, if you can help me with just one screen. Thanks, guys. Remember this much. What AI has done to the world is it collects data from the internet, and it pulls it together. And it pulls it together using algorithms which are kind of similar. And therefore, to a large extent, they'll produce outputs which are going to become kind of similar also. You can kind of tweak it to change it. And so you will need to master how to ask prompts, how to ask the question better. So the future is for those who ask better questions. Those who ask better questions are the ones who are going to get better answers. And then when you get the answers, you'll need to have the intelligence, maybe a team intelligence, to look at it and say, does that make sense? Is this really good? Is this really meaningful? Will this knock the socks off other people? Is it a wow? And if you do that, it's going to work very well. So I'm going to use the analogy of a chef. If there are 4 chefs and they're all given the same 4 ingredients, and you ask them to mix it together, more than likely they'll produce the same sort of output. But if one chef has 1 extra ingredient, that chef is going to produce something different than everybody else. So you need extra ingredients, or you need something different, primary research. And then the chefs have to combine them. And those 4 or 5 dots, ingredients they're combining, is how you combine them in a certain unique way that creates the wow. The wow that amazes customers, the wow that differentiates you from everybody else, the wow that is just the reason to move forward. And that's, in a nutshell, the world hasn't changed dramatically, but those who don't embrace the tools are going to go slower, and they won't do as well. With that, guys, look forward to GIMI's new product lines coming out, powered by AI, in parallel with human intelligence. Is bionic to do something amazing and great. Thank you very much. This brings us an end to the GIMI Think Tank meeting for this week, where we talked about AI in innovation and how it's changing the way we can work faster and cheaper. There's only one last message on this thing that's important, though. Although Gabriela on our team can now produce an output in 2 hours for the whole methodology, we, as the audience, human beings, will still take a couple of days to a couple of weeks to months to be able to make decisions. We still will have to process it, absorb it, fight with ourselves, sleep on it. And so the machines will make decisions, will come to conclusions faster, but we as humans still take time. And with that, keep that in mind. It's bionics, human and machines together, and how we work is the future. Thank you very much.